Welcome to Straight from the Muzzle, folks, where we are anything but straight. My name is Space,
And I'm Bean.
and we welcome you guys to our show, which is about what today?
We're talking about Popufurs.
And ways to get super famous in the fandom, because that's pretty much everyone's biggest number one in the fandom.
God, I feel like as soon as somebody gets into the furry fandom and gets their feet wet, they're like, oh man, I want to be a famous furry or I want to be a popular furry. And then they just never slow down.
And I kind of wonder, maybe in school I want to know where everyone's social status was, like maybe in high school or in college, where they weren't so popular, and now where they're accepted in the fandom, they're just like, I want to become popular, and then they're all like super hyper ADHD, individuals all over the place. Good Lord, just stop, slow down,
Just slow down.
just slow down. So today we're going to be talking about ways that you can become more popular in the fandom, and in some cases you could probably become a popufur in the fandom as well, which is a term used for those in the fandom who are quote unquote popular. So it's pretty self-explanatory. We've broken it down into 5 categories. Those 5 categories are going to be being an artist, being a fursuit maker, being a photographer and a filmographer, being a fursuiter, being a furry YouTuber.
Yep.
I think that's it, right?
Yep, those are the 5.
In each of those categories, we have both pros and cons. So there are going to be good sides, and then there are also going to be the downsides, because everything in the fandom, everything in the world is a double-edged sword. So while there's give, there's going to be take.
Absolutely.
So,
And I feel like a lot of people forget that when it comes to popularity in general. It's like, all right, well, time to break it to you.
here we go. Props to Bean here. She actually created this outline. So, thank you for doing that.
You was welcome.
It's pretty, really well done. Let's get started with our first category, that being an artist. And you can speak from the heart from here because you are an artist.
And artists make up most of the fandom out of all of these things. I feel like artists are the most popular thing to the most common thing to be anyway. Since art is what the fandom revolves around for the most part.
Yeah, and a lot of the art in the fandom is kind of broken up into a couple of things like SFW art, which, if you don't know, means safe for work. And then you have NSFW, which is not safe for work, so porn. Or not necessarily porn, but, more scandalous or mature kind of like artwork.
Mature
And then
audiences.
we have fan art, commissions, and then versus, personal art. So where do you want to start with this mini one?
Let's just start off with the basics, safe for work and not safe for work art, since that kind of can also meld into the other two.
True.
So,
Take it away.
most people in or out of the fandom will see most commonly in person safe for work art. And it's kind of like the general gist what you'll see on Google or when you're searching up artwork online or anything like that when you have your filters on. And it generally means just standard artwork that isn't, delving into any adult I guess topics, whether it be pornography or gore or politics or anything like that. And then you have not safe for work art, which is the more adult side of things, which is a lot of pornography, a lot of again gore or adult topics, a lot of comics, animations, things like that. And I feel like this is where people make the most money. But safe for work and not safe for work art can go hand in hand, and you don't have to pick one. You can do both.
Yeah, and I if you kind of have a hard time determining the difference between the two, let's just put it this way. If your mom's coming over or your dad to your house, do you flip the paintings over or do you keep them as is if they're naughty? If they're naughty, you're probably going to flip them over. If not, I keep mine out because there's nothing bad about them. I think I've only done maybe 1 or 2 actual porn arts, but that's it. Most of my artwork is actually pretty clean, and I'm okay with keeping it out in the public. There's nothing to hide from it. But NSFW art does gain a lot of traction because there's a lot of horny people out there that want their art and they're going to pay
Like
for it.
so.
It's so true, though.
And that's with anything, not just furries. It's just,
Yeah.
adult stuff sells easier. It's like, it's just how it is with art in general, whether you're a furry or not. Comics and like the anime fandoms or video games, if you have sexy characters in a video game, more people are going to buy it. That's just how it ends up going. That's just the natural way of things, whether you like it or not. It's just how it is. Yeah. But that is one of the like genre of artists, is safe for work or not safe for work. There's also fan art. Fan art is pretty common in the furry fandom with like specifically like video game characters and some movie characters. Video games have a lot of anthropomorphic animals. Pokemon, that's all fan art.
Sonic,
yeah, stuff like
Good
that.
Lord, the Sonic. Fan art also can branch into your favorite people in the fandom. So your classic Popufurs that you know of, that you've heard of, and you do art for them, and then you basically give it to them and they post it and say thank you for it. And then basically you get a brief moment of, like your 5 minutes of fame essentially in the fandom. But that's a really good way to kind of get attention from other people, thinking, oh, there's this person over here doing art for all these other people and they're really good at it. Let's follow them. Mm-hmm. So that's one way to get it right there.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a good point you made. When with fan art, there's fan art that pertains to like media that furries and non-furries can like Pokemon, for example. And then there's fan art that is for people within the fandom, like, hey, I drew this for you because I am a fan of you. So it's considered fan art. Like, you'll get fan art of your character, or you drew fan art of this other artist that you really like. And if it's an artist or a fursuiter that's popular, then it can get you a little bit of views on your artwork.
And then there's the last thing, which is commissions versus personal art. Do you want to explain what that is?
Sure. So when you're an artist in the furry community, typically you start with your own personal art, because when you start off drawing, not that many people are going to commission you because you're not very experienced. And then as you get more seasoned, you can start taking on commissions. And some artists are specifically known for their personal art. Their OCs get popular, so people follow them to see artwork of their OCs specifically. So that would be an artist that has gained popularity through their personal art. Or you can become known as an artist for your commission work, where people will sought after your work to see you draw their characters. And so some artists will exclusively post commission work, and then that's where all of their fans are coming from, and that's what their fans enjoy, getting the slots for commissions. And again, you can combine the two. You don't have to choose one or the other. Those are just two kind of sides to the same coin.
Now, what are the pros of being an artist?
Well, for one thing, you get to learn how to draw, and because of that, you don't have to pay other people to draw for you. I mean, True. You might still do so if you want to see other people's styles, but if you want something done and you don't want to spend money, you know how to do it yourself, and it's just a life skill that's, nice to enjoy. And because you've learned this life skill, you have the opportunity to make money off of your artwork, which is also really nice. You can open up for commissions. You can sell merchandise like shirts, stickers, enamel pins, things like that. And I would say it also gives you an opportunity to meet other artists. You can be friends with artists whether you draw or not. But because, it's just another aspect that you can relate to with other people. Like, if you're an artist and they're an artist, you have something to talk about immediately, which is art. So it gives you more of an opportunity to meet other people and other artists.
And now my favorite part, and you'll see why, for cons.
I forgot about this music. Jesus
Just roll
Christ.
with it. Just roll with it. The cons. Do you want me to do it?
You can't with this music.
Okay, the cons are pretty simple. It's time-consuming skill that takes a while to learn. For instance, my husband has been doing drawing for a couple of years now, but it hasn't been until this last year that he's actually been doing really good now. But it's taking him every day. He does a drawing every single day, and he works on either the same one or something different, and he just becomes a little bit better. But it's time consuming, as mentioned. Taking commissions can be also really stressful. You have to know how to manage your time really well. That's also known as, in the career world, as time management. So, depending if you want to make money off of it, you want to kind of set like a price range, and then you also don't want to overstress yourself. So you got to know, how long is it going to take myself to, draw this piece of art. And all that can be really stressful, especially if you're brand new and you're not quite sure what to do. And cons can be spent working more than actually enjoying yourself. So there's a difference of like actually just love drawing, and then there's that where you work for the drawing, basically. So what is it? You can live to work, or you can work to live. And that kind of applies in a way right there. Why can you just not do this music?
I can't. Turn it off.
Okay, on to the next topic. That'll be it for all cons. All cons will have that song.
Jesus. Maybe for just the first minute.
Yeah, and then I'll turn it off.
So the next way you can gain some popularity in the furry community is being a fursuit maker. And I have like kind of 3 different forms of fursuit makers just to cover in this little spot. Of course, may not be all of them, but it's the ones I thought of, which is you can make realistic fursuits, you can make toony fursuits, or you can make heavily stylized fursuits. And fursuits are a big part of the community. Most furries don't own one, but many furries at least want one or plan on getting one, or enjoy just looking at them. So being a fursuit maker can get a good handful of eyes on your work.
And with that, there's a couple of different ways within the fursuit maker realm that can get you really well known. For instance, realistic suits, toony suits, and heavily stylized suits. Like, what's that one that has like all those speakers on it?
Beauty of the Base.
Yeah. Okay. So Beauty of the Base is like a really well-known fursuiter. I think it's a little too much. It's an eyesore for me. That's just my personal opinion. It's so much detail packed into like one little area. And it's like, I get where they're going with it, but at the same time, I think it's just too much and it's kind of lost at the same time.
Really? I think it's really cool. Another example.
Screw you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Another example of a stylized fursuit maker is Fleece Rot. The fursuit maker who does fleece work exclusively. They have a lot of like gross out kind of artwork, and they have like pimples on their suits and a lot of like. It's kind of like you make something unattractive in an attractive way. If I could explain it,
No, you got it.
Another stylized fursuit maker I could think of would be, like kimono suits are very stylized. The Japanese fursuits,
Yeah.
things like that, and that's my favorite type. And I think that is the best way to get momentum quickly with fursuit making is to have something no one has seen before, a style that nobody has seen before, or at least making species that a lot of people haven't seen before. City Mutt is another great example of an extremely stylized fursuit maker who also makes animals that aren't commonly made.
There's also one that I personally follow on YouTube. They're called JTing F. They do a lot of LED work in their fursuit heads. In fact, it's a protogen is what they are. They're protogen fursuits. But they're verily, I don't even know if that's a word. I just made it up. They're really unique, and in the way that the helmet itself, it's built into the fursuit head. Yeah. So everything has LEDs on it, so all the expressions go on it. There's like rave mode, party mode, sad, happy mode. I mean, the thing is like amazing.
Yeah.
I've never seen them actually sell the suit, so I think they either do it as a hobby or I don't know. I kind of want to know what's going on. there, but they make a lot of really cool stuff. So that could be in the stylized side because it's really high tech in that kind of a way.
Definitely. You want to talk about the pros to being a fursuit maker?
Yeah. Do you want me to go for it?
Yeah,
Well, I
go
mean,
for it. I'll do the
you're the fursuit
cons.
maker. Okay, fine. I'll go. The pros to being a fursuit maker is you get to learn how to sew, craft, build, etc. So you get to have these kind of like, I mean, in general, you should have the basic skills of sewing. So if like you rip your shirt or whatever.
Oh
But
yeah, definitely.
like you can kind of build off of that. You can learn different techniques that you wouldn't necessarily learn before. And even if you don't make it as like an actual thing as a being a fursuit maker, at least you have new techniques and you have learned something new, just something different that you haven't done before. You also get the opportunity to make money off your fursuit making. So very much like being an artist, you actually can set your skill. You can set how much, well, you can't really set how much the, what do you call it, the supplies are going to cost, because
Yeah.
cost goes up all the time, but you kind of like learn how to fluctuate the difference of cost and your skill. And then you get to actually like build all this fun stuff. You get more opportunities to meet other fursuit makers. There's hundreds of them out there, tons of them. There's really like niche market ones that are kind of just like, in their own world, but themselves are also really popular. And being popular doesn't necessarily mean that you are loved by thousands and thousands. Being popular could also be that you're loved by, in the 20s, 50s, and the hundreds if needs be. It just depends on your point of view on it. And then, of course, you can also make your own fursuits, which is really nice because if you are a fursuit maker and you're pretty good at what you do, why pay for a fursuit when you can make it yourself?
So the one thing about like making your own fursuits is like you think about it, you're like, oh yeah, I could become a fursuit maker and then I won't have to pay anybody. I can make my own. It'll be cheaper. But the only thing about that is it takes at least, you know, 2 to 3 fursuits to make on your own to get, not bad at it. Because everybody's going to be kind of crunchy at first. So it does end up being cheaper if you commission somebody to make your fursuit versus getting good and then making your own. Because by the time you've made enough to be good at it, you could have paid probably for 2 or 3 professionally made fursuits based off of
True.
the supply costs you've done. Um, like, for example, I've been making fursuits for 10 years and I still don't have a fursuit of my fursona because I wanted to be perfect. And I
Yeah, but
haven't
you have
started
made
it.
like you've made other good characters almost for yourself, and then you've also sold them as well. So I think
Hmm.
they're really cute. Actually, no, you do. I mean, you had one. You had Mothsicles,
No,
the moth.
the moth wasn't my fursona.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever.
Rory, I don't have a fursuit of, and I have never had a fursuit of her in her new form. But what was it? So some cons. There are yep, there it is.
You can do this.
Okay. So
I'll only go for a minute.
the cons to fursuit making is that it is extremely time consuming. It is a time consuming skill that takes a long time to learn. So you can make fursuits for 2 to 3 years and be doing it fairly consistently throughout those years, and you still might not be, even at an under professional level. You might still be considered a novice because it takes a long time to figure out. Making one fursuit alone can take a couple of months. So if you're only able to make 2 a year and it takes making 10 fursuits to be considered a professional, then it's going to take you a long time to get there. Um, Taking commissions can also be extremely stressful, just like with art commissions. I would say they're even more stressful than art commissions because the cost of materials is so much, and you have to work with your customer a lot more. It's a process that could take over a year sometimes, and sometimes your customers will get very impatient because of that. So you have to know how to talk to people, you have to know how to get customer service down, and it's more than just learning how to make the fursuits. You have to learn how to run the business with it. It's also an extremely expensive hobby to pick up. Even if you just want to make 1 or 2 for yourself to see how it is, it's still going to cost you hundreds of dollars to do because fur alone is $30 a yard. And then foam itself is also very expensive. So it's going to be an expensive hobby to pick up. You got to save up to start this as a hobby. and it takes up a lot of space in your house. Like I have a workspace, it's fairly small, but if you don't have an extra room to use, then your bedroom will basically be turned into a fursuit making room if you plan on making them for years to come. It takes up a lot of space. So those are the cons.
I think in like at one point I actually remember telephone telling me once that like half of their kitchen and then half of their living room was the fursuit making space
Mm-hmm.
at one point. It's not anymore. They have like an actual room dedicated for it now, but it just kind of like overflowed into whatever room they could use. So they never really had like just a normal entertaining space. It was always just fursuit crap making stuff everywhere.
And it can be really stressful if it's like that, because if your
It's
work
your
seeps
home.
into the rest of your home, then it feels like you can never escape your work. Like the
Yeah.
AC in my workroom is broken and I can't get it fixed, and I'm just going to have to deal with it till I move out. So in the summertime, I have to move things into my small upstairs bedroom, and my fursuit work just takes over my room, and then that on top of like school work that I have to do in my bedroom
Mhm.
becomes a very stressful place that I don't even like to sleep in the summertime, because there's just work everywhere. Um,
Everywhere.
everywhere. Yeah. So you have to have some space for it, and you have to be prepared to try and keep everything clean, because it's impossible to work in a dirty space.
Our next category is being a photographer and a filmographer. This is kind of like in the middle of the five that we have. It's actually kind of perfectly placed because it's both kind of like a good thing, but it's also not necessarily the best thing that'll get you really known in the fandom. And we'll explain why. It's pretty much broken up exactly as it sounds, being a photographer. Photographer can be like, you could be, I guess, the person that takes pictures of all the different fursuits at a fursuit con, being on con staff, which, by the way, could get you pretty popular. Being on con staff, I've heard, actually gets you pretty high up there. It's a good way to kind of get boosted because you get to know everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But you could also be like really annoying too. Um, just putting it out there. I've met some con staff, and I'm just like, whoa, shh, no.
Yeah, I
Um,
feel you.
but you could also take pictures of other fursuiters. You could take pictures of the environment of the con, fur meets. There's a lot of that goes into photography. It's very beautiful. It's a great thing to see. I'd love to see more of it. I I've actually taken tons of photos, but I've never actually uploaded them. I really should. I've got like a whole hard drive full of photos, and I'm like, oh my god, I have totally forgotten about these. The other one is being a videographer, or well, doing videography. I was going to say videographer. That's another one. I guess you could say
It's
it
the
like
same.
that.
Yeah.
Filmographer. That's better. Being a filmer. That's also a good one too. You can actually get, obviously like live action. Some really well known filmers out there, or filmmakers, would be like Eric Risher, who I also believe is Ash Coyote
Yeah.
on their YouTube, and now they're making like a mini docu series, but they've made actually little documentaries. He actually worked on like his first major documentary for, I don't know, like 6 years, and then after that he finally started getting recognition. It was slow, but he did it, and it took him a long time. There's also who was the other one that you were talking about?
Sid Stoat, Kiba
That's a
Wolf.
photographer. Well, he's
Well,
kind of
Sid
a little bit
Stoat
of
did
both.
like the FWA and Anthrocon movies, and that's film.
Oh, yeah. He does a little bit of both. He's kind of like, it's cool because he has a little bit of, most photographers can kind of go in between of being filming
Yeah.
and just pictures.
Cheetah Spots on YouTube does a lot of really cool like con videos, as well as like I think people pay him to make like music videos of people in fursuits, stuff like that.
There's the one that's based in Europe. I can't remember what his name is. You mentioned it before.
Revfer?
There you go, Revfer. I'm pretty sure that he lives in Europe.
I don't
Does he
remember.
not? It's one of them. One of the fursuit, one of the
I thought Cheetah
filmographers,
Spots was.
huh? I know that one of them, I don't know who did it, but one of them actually, I believe, in conjunction of doing their normal photography stuff, they also designed a vest, a cooling vest, and I can't
Oh,
remember
Easy
who
Cool
did that
Down?
one. There you go. Easy
Is
Cool
that not
Down.
Cable
Easy
Wolf?
Wolf. That's Easy Wolf.
Oh, Easy Wolf.
Yeah. So that's another really well-known one as well. So there's a lot of good of them, a lot of good things out there. But like I said, it's kind of in the middle of the road. There's both pros and there's both cons for this one. I personally wouldn't pick this route just because it's not my forte. If it is yours, kudos to you. But here are the pros and cons.
So the pros are that you can make money off of film and video production and photographs. A lot of photographers will have rates at conventions like, "Hey, I'm for hire at this convention for photo shoots. I am like it's like $20 for per hour or whatever, 50 an hour, things like that." Or for films, you can sell your work online, or people can pay you to make music videos of you in suit, things like that. uh, you can also have a lot of opportunities to work with the media and also convention staff. Convention staff needs a lot of filmographers and photographers to get their work out there and to make put things on their websites and whatnot. And it's also a great way to network with a lot of furries because furries are attention hogs. They want a camera on them. So
Yep.
you'll be able to network with a lot of people because they're going to want to hire you to put a camera in their face.
And then, of course, here are the cons. Cue the dramatic piano. Your favorite. Okay. The cons are pretty simple. You get less name recognition since you are behind a camera. That's something you're going to have to deal with. If you're spending a lot of your con just being behind a camera, be prepared to not really be known. People are not going to ask who you are. They just want their picture taken because more than likely you're going to upload it online. Someone's going to identify you and there you go. But no one ever really thinks about the photographer. It's just that. You don't get credited as often either on posting photography or videos. If you're going to be posting videos, your main avenue should be YouTube. There's, I guess there's TikTok as well, and you could do other social sites, but the big one out there is YouTube. But then again, you have to have some sort of recognition. It's really hard to do that. Now, if you can get someone who can kind of endorse you, so another fursuiter who also does film or maybe a Popufur, then that'll give you a little bit of a boost. But be prepared because that's really not going to happen that often. In fact, it's like once in a while, maybe you might get something, but it's not going to last for too long. So that's also one of a Debbie Downer right there. And the last thing is the equipment is really costly. To get a camera, most phones these days now are actually pretty good. Apple being out there. I'm not the biggest fan of Apple products. Well, Apple phones. I don't necessarily mind the computers because they're really good for other things, but they're coming out with really, really, really good cameras. And so there's that. But the average phone out there now probably starts anywhere between $400 to $800. And that's not counting a camera. Cameras themselves are really good ones. Those can be really costly. There's DSLRs, then there's the lights that go with them, the microphones, the rigs. You see those weird rigs where people dance all around, but the camera doesn't move. That's really costly. So if you're really to invest in that, good, go for it. But be prepared, it's going to be really costly. I don't even know. I think it could be equivalent to being a fursuit maker because you still need a lot of equipment to pull a lot of this crap off. So those are the cons. We don't want this to become a thing oh, this is the, we don't want the negativity to, outweigh the pros. Both of them have really good qualities. That's just, we want to make sure that you are aware of both sides, just kind of as a reminder.
Yep.
Okay, the next one. Being a fursuiter.
Yep. Being a fursuiter is one of the big ones. This is why so many young furries think that you have to have a fursuit in order to be in the fandom, is because most people pay attention to the fursuits the most.
True. Being a fursuiter kind of breaks down into two specific little mini categories. The first one being a performer, which I think you even said, why don't you kind of break that one down? Because performer can kind of be a lot of different things?
Performer can be a lot of different things. So a lot of like what people think about immediately when they hear the word performer would be like fursuit dancers. You are performing either online in videos or you're performing at conventions and competitions. There are also things like, furry masquerades or skits that can also happen at conventions or online. I remember a lot at conventions in the early 2000s. There would be things like masquerades where you could take audio and basically people in fursuits would have a little play, or just having high performance in general. When you wear your costume, you're not just walking around in your suit, you like become that character. For example, Telephone I would consider to be a fursuit performer because they immerse themselves into that character, and people around them, it's like they forget that it's a costume and they just see that it's a character.
She's
They're
like a Disney character performer level because she really does like interact with everyone, like
Yeah,
everyone.
Disney's a good comparison. If you're a Disney mascot, people don't really think of you as a mascot because you are becoming that character. You are being active, you are acting. So that's the performing side of being a fursuiter. But I would say the other side to gaining popularity through being a fursuiter, if you're not high on performance, like let's say you don't like to go to a lot of conventions, or when you do go to conventions, you're not good at acting in suit. You just kind of like to wear your suit and walk around and be with friends, which is fine. But you're not necessarily a performer. Instead, you could be, considered a social media star. So you may not perform a lot in suit, but you take a lot of pictures in your suit, or you hire a lot of photographers to get photos of you in suit, or people will just gravitate to you through any online content that you do because of that. So most of your most of your popularity is coming from you just being active on social media. You're interacting with people online, you're posting pictures frequently or videos frequently, anything like that. But you're not necessarily performing. Now, you can be both of these things. You can be a performer that also posts a lot on social media, but if you aren't a performer, the only other way to get a lot of eyes on you as a fursuiter would be to be a social media star.
Now, if you're going to go down the social media star route, you also need to be very well versed in your social media. So, for instance, Instagram is huge, but so is TikTok. TikTok is the new Vine. And if I've heard right, Vine might be actually coming back as something else. I think we had a guest before, they said Byte might be it. The actual word is Byte, like BYTE.
Mm-hmm.
But so there's TikTok, then there's just a handful other social media like tools to use. There's Telegram if you want to create a group or a page. There's Facebook, which is a little bit more geared towards, I guess I want to say like an older generation. And by older generation, I don't mean old people. I just mean by like people between the ages probably of like 25 and up, just
Yeah.
because it's not really, it used to be really well known for its younger following, but now the younger following is on these smaller apps like Snapchat and stuff. So, there's those routes you can go down as well. But you want to make sure that you're always posting, you're online, you're everywhere. But there's always give and take for social media as well. I'll go over the pros on this one since I did the cons last.
Okay.
So the pros here is that you can get popularity through popularity through simply enjoying a hobby and posting about it frequently. The great thing about social media is you can literally post every single bit of your thought. Do I recommend it? No, but you're going to do it anyways because you want the followers. The more followers you have, the better you have of being liked and popular out there. Um, or you could just really like what you do. Like, I like cooking, I like presenting, I like doing a variety of things. So on my Instagram, it's not as, what do you call it? It's not as frequent. I kind of post when I want to, and that works against me because I'm not actually trying to be known out there. I'm just kind of doing my own thing. If I were actually wanting to be known, I probably would post at least, I don't know, 1 to 3 times a day. I'd actually research when the highest posting times would be. So make sure that, I'm not posting at midnight because no one's awake at midnight anymore, things like that. So there's just, things that I would do or change. it's easier and faster to accomplish than learning how to produce art or costumes. So, relatively, I would say that most people have a smartphone these days. Most people already have all of these apps like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube all ready to go. We already know how to connect. And so, if that's the case, if you make that your specialty, you can really soar with that. It should be really easy. And wait, able to perform at conventions.
Yes. So you're
Oh,
able to perform at
okay.
conventions, which can be an experience in itself. Like most people, if you're not a performer or you don't, want to be in that kind of spotlight or just anything, if you don't have that, popularity, then it could be harder to get into events at conventions. But if you're a fursuit performer and you know how to dance or you know how to set up skits, then you have the opportunity to be on a stage at a convention, which is a really great experience in itself.
It is. And of course, you have all your equipment you might have with you. You might be live streaming too, which could be, I've actually not really seen anyone actually live stream at a convention. And I
Probably because
kind
they're
of hope
too
they
busy
do.
running around drinking.
It's, it's possible. I like taking pictures of other people. I don't necessarily like being in the pictures. So, my favorite thing, okay, so if you're a fursuiter and you ever get to meet me in public, I do this thing where I say picture, picture. And so it's basically like a Mr. Rogers thing, but I grab as many fursuits as I can, fursuiters, and I pile them all together. I think at one time I had 25 fursuiters spanned across the hallway taking pictures, and I had them doing different things. I'm like, show me happy. And obviously they can't show you happy because they're all the same like expression, but I did things like that to kind of make it fun. But it was fun for me. I didn't do it because I wanted to be popular. I did it because it was fun just to do.
Yeah.
And it blocked traffic, which was great. So I'm gonna do it at FWA, which by the way I'm going to, but we'll talk about that later. What are the cons of this though?
Okay, so the cons of being a fursuiter are that you have to be. Oh, where's my music space?
Oh, sorry. Oh my gosh. There you go.
You must be extremely active on social media, and or at conventions. So you have to at least be active on social media for this to work. You can't just be satisfied with posting, once a week. Without the kind of traction and consistent posting, nobody is going to see you as much, and they're not going to remember your username as much. So you're just not going to get as much activity on your pages. But being, active at conventions as well is really going to help you, because seeing you in person, have fans seeing you in person, will be the best way to keep them continue to be fans of you. It kind of closes that gap from them being just online to them actually being able to see you, to hug you, things like that.
And
but
they will see you and they will hug you.
Yes, they will.
Yep.
You have less privacy, whether it's online or in person. You're going to have so many eyes on you. Any little thing you say or post, someone is going to see it. And if it's something that goes against the grain of what people want you to say or want you to do, then you might get, gaslit. And in that sense, you just have less privacy. And that ties together with also having a lot of high expectations and pressure for you to be perfect from a fan's point of view.
And that's not easy to do.
No, it's not.
Because think about this, if you get disappointed really easily, imagine how your fans will get disappointed if you don't perform at their kind of like their demands almost. They'll get really disappointed, and losing a follower is so easy. Like this, they'll switch and go somewhere else.
Yeah, and that's something I see a lot with online, for example. A high expectation a lot of people have that's unrealistic is like, oh, they're a Popufur, they only care about them and their friends, they don't ever talk to their fans, and they're just a jerk because they never talk to me. I message them and they never reply to my messages or my comments. And it's like, it's unrealistic, because if you're popular online, you have hundreds and hundreds of comments and messages, and of course you just want to talk to your friends because those are your friends. If you spent all your time talking to strangers trying to please them by replying to their comments or messages, you wouldn't have the time to actually talk to the people you really care about.
Or do
So
the things that you want to do.
yeah, so you have a lot of high expectations, and some people will get nasty if you don't meet those expectations, and that could be a really big con to being a popular fursuiter. And of course, the primary also a con is just having to spend money on a fursuit.
Oh my god, yeah. You have to, and not just that, but you also have to spend money like as well, just in general.
Yeah, like at conventions and things like that.
Support people want to see that you support others and all that fun stuff. It's time consuming, everything. It's just, I think the biggest thing here, and this will be the biggest thing for both this topic and then the last category, is the privacy. Just, you won't have it. If you make even the slightest mistake, it's the biggest mistake. It's like an atom bomb going off in the fandom, and you're the epicenter of it. Everyone sees it, and there's nothing you can do. Really nothing. You can throw as much aid as you want at it, but it's really not going to do you anything. So, in essence, I like my privacy. For media, which is what Straight from the Muzzle used to be, was really popular at one point. It still is. It just is in its own little way now as Straight from the Muzzle. But there are people that message me. There are people that will email in, but I don't necessarily always respond back in timely manner because I also like my privacy. I like being able to talk to Bean and my husband and my friends and not have to worry that something, I don't have an obligation to my fans. And I don't really know who they all are either. So,
Yeah.
we have fans, but my fans actually become friends. So my small group of friends has actually become like a medium to large size group of friends. And by large, I mean by like maybe 20, maybe, I don't know. It's a little bit less than that, I believe. I don't have a lot of people that I really cater to. And they know that I don't go for it. They know that I'm not like active all over the place, but if they need to get a hold of me, they know where, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
So, the last one is being a furry YouTuber.
Yes. And this can go hand in hand with being a popular fursuiter because most furry YouTubers do have a fursuit, but not all of them, and that's why I made it kind of like a separate identity. So there's a lot of different types of furry YouTubers. There are furry YouTubers that are skit based. They make skits. They do things like, different challenges and whatnot. There are story time, furry YouTubers where they basically just, self-explanatory. They tell stories of things that happen to them. And then there's mixed media, which is basically if it doesn't fit in those two categories, then it, falls into some third category, like maybe animations or tutorials, things like that.
Yeah, and then there's yeah. I'm sorry, I got distracted. Just kind of like a side tangent because we haven't really side tangent at all in this episode, and I really want to at this point.
Do it.
Has anyone ever just smelt their microphone?
What do you smell?
I don't know. That's the thing. I'm slowly like just kind of smelling the microphone. It just smells good, but I'm not really sure how to explain the smell. But because it's probably all my spit, honestly.
Oh my
god! All of this bacteria that's probably in the microphone. You know what? I would be really interested to see someone take a black light and then under a microscope of what is on a microphone.
Oh
just
no!
to kind of see
that would be so
how gross that would be. But okay, I don't know, because if I'm talking really close to the microphone, like I am right now, and then I breathe for a second, it kind of smells good. I don't know. Has anyone ever just smelt their microphone? Whether you're gaming or doing a podcast. Do it right now, Bean. Do it right now. Smell your little microphone.
I did when you said it, and I smelled nothing but foam.
Damn it. Okay, whatever. Maybe I'm just weird.
Maybe you
I like the way mine
mouth.
smells. Gross. Anyways, back to the category of being a furry YouTuber.
Don't make me laugh. I have a cold. Oh my gosh.
Good Lord. Did you already talk about games? You can be like a gamer.
Hey, what's up, you guys? I'm a gamer.
I have a friend who's he does a lot of Twitch gaming, and at first he wasn't really making a lot of money. He's making okay money now. He has enough to pay rent and go out and go on trips, which I think is great. But that's the thing is, though, is you got to play all the time and you got to be always online. That's a con. We'll go over it later. Let's talk about the pros.
Okay, so the pros to being a furry YouTuber is that what was that?
They were just drums. I just want to throw you
It
off a
scared
little
the
bit.
shit out of me.
There I go.
Oh my god. The pros to being a furry YouTuber is that YouTube being combined with other, pieces of social media can help you gain popularity pretty quickly just because of how those social media pages work. You also gain a creative outlet as well as gain skills in the use of like filming and editing. It may not be extreme filmmaking like it would be if you were a filmographer or photographer, but you still gain skills in that field, which can help you in other aspects of life. And you also tend to gain connections with other YouTubers as well, since it's kind of like you enjoy the same hobby, you understand the same, strifes of being a furry YouTuber, so of course you relate to one another, and they tend to become friends from what I have observed within the furry YouTube community. So those can all be some pros.
Now the cons and your favorite sound. Dramatic piano. There's actually a few more cons that I have that's listed here, but we'll go over the ones here. Yeah. Oh, wait, you know what? Hold on. Have a better success rate with a fursuit. Oh, okay, sorry. I was kind of lost in thought there. I was like, this is a pro. It's not. Okay. So if you are a furry YouTuber, you have a better success rate if you're in fursuit. Once again, people really love seeing people in fursuit. They don't care if your content's good or not. They want to see that fursuit and they want to see you dance in it and all your fun little things. If you don't have a fursuit, your success rate kind of goes down a little bit. You can always boost it up though by doing gaming, by doing other things, but you really have to work hard on that too. So you're going to have to go just a little bit more out of your way to beat the success rate of a fursuit. There's less privacy again. So you're in a social media aspect. You're on YouTube. Your videos are out there. You say something that your fans don't like, they're going to rail against you, man. And some people just don't care. In fact, I don't even think I've really read all the comments on all the videos we've ever made, but I've come across a few and I'm just like, not worth my time. But you have less privacy. They see everything about you, and then what is the reality? The last thing, though, is the high expectations and the pressure to be perfect for your fans. And that's a really hard thing to do. That kind of goes with being not just a furry YouTuber, but also being a fursuiter, going back, being a filmmaker, being a fursuit maker, and then also being an artist. All of these right here, these all kind of tie together at the very end because there is our high expectations and there is a lot of pressure for perfection. The world we live in now, it's not like it was, like 10, 15 years ago, especially if you live in, let's say, like South Korea or Japan, where everything is about perfection. It's all about plastic surgery and being perfect. Kind of wonder, like, doesn't it just make you tired at the end? Is it really worth all of that? Like, where is it getting you? And I don't know if it really does make you any money. If it does, great, but then you got to really work harder and harder each time. Is it worth it, though? That's my question, like, just kind of out there. Some people say yes and some people say no, but it really is up to you. Me, for instance, I am not all about high expectations, and I am for myself. I set myself at like different standards for different things, but I never give my fans high expectations or perfection. There's nothing perfect about this podcast. There's things that go on all the time. Heck, I just threw Bean off by throwing on some drums. She didn't know that was going to happen. Neither did I. Just did it for the heck of it. And then, of course, there are no really high expectations because you never know what you're going to get in each of these episodes. You're going to get a little bit of fun. You might get a little bit of sad. It might be serious, might not be. It just really depends. But I try not to set that that level too high because I don't want us to not be able to ever meet those expectations. It's not fair to me. It's not fair to Bean. It's not fair for our staff, which we do have. There's 2 others on our staff. And it's not fair for everyone else because if I can't meet those expectations, you're going to leave. You're not going to listen. And that same goes for YouTube as well. As far as the other cons, I totally forgot what they were, and I'm sure they'll come to me at some point after the recording, but whatever. I can't think of it right now. No more dramatic piano. It's done. So,
Con.
those are pretty much. Oh, hey, there's more. I didn't realize there was more cons. Hold on. There we go. I had to scroll down on my notes. Here we go. Must spend time learning video and editing. Oh my god, yeah, that's actually was one of the things I was thinking about before. So if you thought like just taking pictures and filming was bad, then you got to learn like editing programs. So there's basic ones like Windows Movie Maker, which they've actually discontinued on most Windows platforms, but you can still download it on other shady sites. Is it worth it? Yeah, it might be. There's also like Adobe. I think there's like Photoshop, and then there's like another one for Filmmaker, which I don't know what the actual application is called, but Adobe is fucking expensive. So, you know, if you don't want to spend that much money, then shoot, you know, I mean, you could do it with everything else, but it's going to cost. And then you got to learn it all too. Those programs are not basic. Windows Movie Maker, basic, easy to make. And then you got like Adobe Photoshop. That is not easy.
No.
And then with Photoshop, there's also another one that goes really well with it as well. And I can't remember what the program is. And then there's, you know, the Filmmaker Pro or whatever. That one's really hard to learn too. And you got to take the time to do it. And it just takes forever. And then film equipment is really expensive. Again, it's right up there with being a photographer and a filmographer. And it's not just like making sure you have the lights. It's also making sure you have the room, making sure that you look good. It's everything that you see on, you know, TV and online. It's everything like that. It costs so much money. And sure, you could get the crappier versions of it, but it's not going to be the greatest. You're going to want the best. And to get the best, you got to spend. And it's not cheap. There we go. There's my. It's done. I didn't realize there was more. I had to scroll down on that one. That's fun. The joys of scrolling down on notes.
Oh my god.
So those are the 5 major topics that we've come up with, but we do have some general tips for getting yourself out there as well. Bean, if you want to take it away.
Absolutely. So just in general, whether you're going with just one of these topics or, you know, types of, you know, furry fandom person, whatever, or you go with multiple of them, just in general, if you want to put yourself out there more in the fandom, you should post frequently. You want to make sure you're not just leaving your accounts dead for weeks on end. Post at least every day or so, even if it's just little things like, you know, pictures of your breakfast or, hey, look at this video I saw, and post a link. You don't have to have high effort, but you still want to have your voice heard. Mm-hmm. Also using a variety of social media sites. You don't want to just stick to one. You want to have multiple. Like I am following a young new fursuit maker on TikTok, and they've been complaining recently that their account is dying and not that many people comment and favorite their stuff anymore. And I commented it out, and I was like, you need to get a Twitter. If you only use TikTok, then your account will eventually die because, you know, things change. Your platforms will change and formulas can change. You know, a social media site can fuck you over just by updating and changing their algorithm. So you want to have more than one, you know, way to communicate with people. Socializing at conventions. If you can go to conventions to socialize, then it's the best way to get yourself out there, not just to gain popularity, but just for your own self-satisfaction. You know, being online and being a presence online and having online friends is great, but getting to see them in person and getting to talk with people in person is all the better. It's a completely different experience. And then, of course, with online posting, you want to post during high traffic times. There are charts online telling you when websites are the most active, but if you're, you know, being specific to the furry fandom, those times can be different. For example, I
Much different.
believe, yeah, much different. I believe like Twitter for the general population, the most popular times are like between 2 and 5, but with furries, it's between like 5 to 3 in the morning.
Pretty much.
So,
It's like for furries, like think of it as like convention party hours. That is
yeah.
the time that we're on. And then they're all asleep in the morning. They don't care.
Yeah, if
It's
you post something in the morning, no one's gonna see it. So like,
no, because they're either at work, they're at school, they're doing, or they're sleeping. It's one of those.
mm-hmm. And then finally, the biggest piece of advice for getting yourself out there that I have is being a creator and not just a poster. There's nothing wrong with just posting simple everyday life things and, and just enjoying other people's work and artwork and favoriting things and talking to artists. But if you yourself learn how to create art, whether it's, fursuit making, drawing, making videos, filming, anything like that, if you become a
Podcasting.
creator, yeah, podcasting, like if you can create something, then you'll have an easier time getting yourself out there.
It's it's really interesting with creating and not just posting. It's okay, it's like I've seen some really like very popular products out there, like Coke, for example. I've seen their page where they'll post like advertisements all the time, and people will like them, but people won't actually comment on them because what's the comment on an advertisement? You're just telling people something. If you ask a question, though, then it piques the interest. Oh, I have to answer. Well, what am I going to answer? And then you type something and you comment. More questions being asked actually get probably a higher success rate of being noticed than something just being posted. No one likes to be spammed. And there's also spam filters. I have ad blocker on my Chrome. I'm not ashamed of it. I block a lot of places because I don't want to see their crap, so I can just see what is there. But you don't want to spam too much because you don't just want to be a poster. And that's kind of like what that is. Creating is a little bit different. You have to be really like out there. You got to think differently. Like, I don't know. What Okay, so for instance, we're on Facebook, but although we have like what 7,500 fans on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
how often do you think they post on any of our stuff?
Not often.
No. And that's because Facebook isn't that much of a power move anymore. Not very many young people. I mean, sure, they still have their Facebook accounts, but that doesn't mean they're active. That doesn't mean they're there. So we're making a switch. We'll leave it there, but we're going to be active on Twitter now because Twitter is the more a fun area to be. And I can still be pretty creative on Twitter. There's things that we can post. There's, oh, good Lord, you did this. I mean, by the way, I think it's still like the most insane commented post you made was the lesbian artist one.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Never saw that one coming. Like, I don't know. Do you still get people commenting on it?
I still get people liking it.
Wow. Damn. I want to go see it real quick. Let's see. Well, if I go look for it, I got to go really look for it. I'll go look for it later. But yeah, like just be really creative with a lot of things. Have fun with it. I think a lot of people try to take it too seriously and it doesn't really work out. And then you get sad and then you just kind of give up. But if you have fun with it and you remember that you're just doing this for you, you might actually do a lot more. You actually might soar faster if you're just being yourself. Be
That's
yourself.
something that's really important to say. Yeah, that's because with all of this, it's like, oh, these are ways that you can get popular in the fandom. But like, if you do any of these things just for the goal of gaining popularity, then you're not going to really enjoy it. And it's not going to feel genuine for yourself or for your fans. You have to do what makes you happy and you have to do what you would like to do. It's not just I want to have my name out there, so I'm going to do this just for that. No. You, if popularity and having your name well known is your only goal, then you're not going to be happy.
It's kind of like I really like doing these podcasts because it's a time for like an hour for Bean and I to chat and talk with you guys and stuff. I don't know if you guys ever just like say I actually kind of wonder if we're listening to like a an episode, do you ever like talk out loud or respond back even though no one's listening?
Yeah.
I do it and I'll be like, oh my God, did I just say that? Um, but I like doing it because I like to talk with Bean. It's fun to talk about different things that we really haven't gone over yet. And then of course the other thing too is I can actually browse the web and no one knows it. Like for instance, right now I'm on Twitter and I just saw a picture that you actually posted of a very sexy looking man in freaking hooker heels going to Joanne's.
Oh, that's my that is my pinned tweet on Twitter.
Describe yourself with only pictures you have. You cannot search or download new pictures. So,
Yes.
geez, I just saw this and I'm like, yep, I'm taking that. I'm just taking it right now and it's mine.
It's my I mean and everything I posted in that pinned tweet is completely accurate to who I am as a person.
I
Like
love
it's just
it.
it's like a naked dude wearing heels and at the bottom it says on my way to Joanne Fabrics and I'm like that's me bitch.
It's great. Um, do you have anything else to add before we let go?
You know, I can't think of anything.
You know what that means? It's a win.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry. So we use Zencaster, and there's 4 of these like sounds that we can use. The intro outro sucks balls, but the other ones are fun to use. So I've never done the ballpark one. I've always wanted to. Well, we always thank you guys for listening, and
Absolutely.
if you ever have a topic you want to suggest, you can always email us. Though no one really does that anymore, so just tweet us or telegram us, and we will put it into our next season, which
Hell yeah.
would be, I think, season 5, not season 4, because we already got that one planned.
Oh shit, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Well, whatever. We might flip it in. You never know. We might do it. I guess that's it. I don't really have an outro.
Nope. We'll see you guys next time, all right? If you want to email us, talk to the muzzle at gmail.com. We also have our Twitter and our Facebook and a Telegram chat group. So we will have all that information in the description below.
Have a great day.
Bye, guys.